Alright, episode 55, starting in 3, 2, 1. This Week in Blizz is proudly sponsored by DoghouseSystems.com. If you use the code TWiB at checkout, that's TWiB, you will get double memory on your next Doghouse System. We thank DoghouseSystems.com for their support of This Week in Blizz. And also TweakedAudio.com. Go to TweakedAudio.com for high-performance, noise-reducing earbuds. Use our code TWiB to get 30% off plus free shipping on your next order, and support This Week in Blizz in the process.
Armed and ready. Who wants some? This week in Blizz.
Welcome back, everyone, to the 55th episode of This Week in Blizz. I'm Garrett Weinzerl.
I'm Ben Zweifel.
And I'm Kyle Ferguson.
And this is a show keeping you up to date on the worlds of Blizzard Entertainment. Ben, man, how you doing? We did our first pen and paper RPG this past weekend.
Yeah, it was a blast.
It was good fun. This is quickly becoming the weekly update show where the first 10 minutes are spent talking about whatever new tabletop game we are playing.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was great fun.
It was good.
We played the Edge of the Empire beginner set, and it was a blast.
It's great. I'm
running around Tatooine.
Yeah, dude, I'm a smuggler. I've already stolen myself a shiny, not new. Actually, it's probably not shiny. YT 1300.
Yep.
So that's
can't go wrong with that. Old Faithful.
Yeah. I'm gonna name it the Millennium Eagle.
Yeah. Or was it the Aluminum Eagle?
What the hell's an aluminum falcon? Yeah, it was a good time. And for those of you who are interested, which I'm sure numbers in the vast twos, I rolled terribly. I was the most inaccurate smuggler ever.
The only person who comes close is Will Wheaton. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
You roll terribly. I think you eventually hit one person with your blaster. From
I did manage to land a killing blow on the final boss.
After everybody else softened him up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that. Kyle, I'm surprised you're not weighing in on this conversation with your long storied history with Dungeons and Dragons.
Well, it's a Star Wars pen and paper game, and really deep down, I'm burning with jealousy because that sounds awesome. I already thoroughly grilled you for all the rules because otherwise,
I spent like 2 hours of my morning chatting back and forth with you, Kyle. Well, how do the die work? Is it just a D10? No, Kyle. You see, what it is it's their custom die, and there's different colors. Ooh, what do the different colors mean? Well, this color means that, and that color means that. Well, how do you know what does something? And 2 hours later, Kyle has a vague understanding of the game.
And I'm very excited.
For those that are curious, it's kind of akin to a lot of indie RPGs that are out there, where basically you have opposing die that will cancel each other out, rather than you rolling a d20 and trying to get over a certain value. And what's cool about it is that it introduces not only successes and failures, but also advantages and disadvantages. So it can be really cinematic and narrative in the sense that you can still fail a check, but something good can come out of it, for instance, and the die can steer that a lot, which is very interesting.
Oh no, I missed my shot, but I distracted the enemy. Hooray!
Right,
which made me the most distracting person on the field.
Yes, when you weren't blowing up cantinas.
What makes me want to play it the most now that I've grilled Garrett is that means you don't have to be interrupted. You don't have to interrupt the role playing by saying, "Oh, what's your AC? Oh, that's my will." Okay, and it can just be success or failure. Move on.
Well, I mean, if you're a new player, you're still you still have to refer to your sheet, be like, okay, how many?
And you're still doing, it's still a lot of, do a athletics check or whatever to see if you can vault over this table. It's still a lot of that, but it becomes easier to interpret, and it can go either way. And making it more difficult or more easy depending on the circumstances is as easy as adding a die or removing one.
Yep, it's very cool. And Ben did a bang up job as a first-time game master.
Oh yeah, I had no idea what I was saying.
Well, none of us do
I don't
either.
know, guys.
So.
Let me look up the rules.
Yeah, as far as we know, you
guys
were doing
take a
great
break.
job. Yeah.
I probably butchered the rules completely, and now you go back and you reread them. You go, wait a minute, that's not how that works.
I want to use a force token. We can't do that. Why? Because I don't know how they work.
That's why you call them house rules, and you just make it up as you go.
Oh, that's right. I'm not badly playing the game. I'm just playing it my way.
Yeah,
right?
It's good stuff.
You're the DM, man. Own it.
Yeah. Whatever I say goes.
Yeah.
Well, in Blizzard-related feelings, I don't know about you guys, but man, these 2 weeks of people talking about Titan, being like, oh, well, BlizzCon, and of course we're getting Titan this year, right? Everyone knows we're going to be talking about Titan. And it is driving me bonkers. I can't enjoy any of my games right now. I'm constantly looking at other MMOs thinking, man, what is the best MMO out there? Of course it's World of Warcraft. Go right back to playing my Death Knight. But it seems like a bit of leaked information came out in April, but other than that, just still nothing.
Yeah, and did you read that leaked information? It was the vaguest, most uninteresting, no shit statements I've ever read.
Well, the thing about it being based on Earth history is kind of frightening.
Right.
Do you know how vague that is?
There's crossover from World of Warcraft, and there's probably time travel, is what I gleaned from that. So I'm not really sure how.
If you took it at face value, we're getting Caverns of Time, the MMO.
Yeah. I don't know. It sounds like your average Doctor Who episode. It is kind of going down that.
If we all get a TARDIS, then I'm all in.
Yeah.
If that's how.
But you get what I mean. Like, it's basically a bit of everything. You know what I mean?
Right.
We've got time travel. We've probably got aliens. We've got, you know.
Yeah. I almost immediately discounted most of the stuff in there. It's just like, whatever, man. I'll see. 'Cause saying it's loosely based around Earth's history tells us literally nothing.
Oh yeah,
So
we didn't talk about this a month ago, and now it's really actually been a solid month. All these leaks came out April 3rd, so they're still there, and people are now cross-referencing each other. Well, according to so-and-so site, that rumored it, and you're like, wait a minute, that's not fact.
You're just comparing other rumors against each other, making up fact. I would be genuinely surprised if we saw anything about it this year. I would be really surprised. People for the past 5 years, people have been going, oh, the Titan this year. Don't worry, guys. We got it, you know?
Yeah, well, and of course we're excited. We hope it's the one you're going to. So everyone who's going is going to be saying, hey, it's going to happen this year. Well, back in 2006, they said it was slated for the fourth quarter of 2013, right?
Oh, boy, that worked out.
Yeah, well, first of all, Blizzard.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Nailed it, yeah. Hasn't even been announced yet.
That's 7 years. 7 years off. I challenge Blizzard to make that sort of delivery date.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good. Good stuff.
Another idea that is permeating all these is that it's made with esports in mind. And I wanted to get your guys' opinions on this because a lot of people are doomsaying.
I've got it already. That is a generic bullshit statement.
But my question more is, should you have an MMO with esports in mind? Because then you start thinking, well, and there's those people who always say, well, you know, if World of Warcraft didn't have any PvP, it would be a better place.
I don't think that's a true statement.
Those people are wrong. It's not even at that point. It's not even.
But I think like you say something like that, that could be as simple as making observing really easy. Let's say, right? Because let's say observing in World of Warcraft is a real pain in the ass.
It's awful.
So putting tools in the game that make observing easy, like that's already taking esports in mind. It won't necessarily change the way the game is played, but it might make it so that from the ground up, it's an easily observable, enjoyable thing. I think that's something that they learned with StarCraft. You know what I mean? There's certain things that are very entertaining to watch, and you can see a progression of things happening that are easy to follow, or you can watch, you know, arenas, and it's just like, what's going on? I guess one team just died. I think that's what just happened. Yeah. Right? I mean, that's basically what happens.
My other thought is, too, that I don't think Titan is going to be an MMO in the sense of what we traditionally know as an MMO. I'm assuming there's going to be a lot new about it.
Yeah. Paradigm shifting.
First of all, my favorite MMO is World of Warcraft, and it has PvP, and I really enjoy the PvP. So I say, yes, MMOs should absolutely have PvP. It should be well balanced, and why the hell not? If it's well balanced, you should have esports.
Yeah, sure. It might not be any fun to watch, mind you, but that will reveal itself.
No, exactly. I mean, I really enjoy WoW PvP. I don't enjoy watching it. It is not entertaining to watch, in my opinion.
No, it's awful to watch.
It's a terrible. First of all, like you said, Ben, the in-game spectating is terrible. But that's also an issue with any completely free roam 3D game. Spectating is a pain.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. Then you take into account stuff like in reality, most spell effects are not terribly identifiable.
Nope.
And there's so many that nobody will have any real notion of what half of them do.
Yep.
I don't know if you can really have a sport that's based on tab selecting either, because I mean then you're basically casting you playing with a cat, right. And you're going, all right, then you go oh, something out the window. Okay, he selected something else for a bit. Okay, now we're back in the game. All right.
Oh, that's a delightful description of tab targeting. I think that's very accurate.
That's very different. Yeah, that's a good point.
But I mean, for all we know, this could be like an FPS, right? I mean, like there's no reason that it couldn't, unless they've said otherwise. Like I frankly don't know.
They haven't said
we have
jack.
No information actually at all, except that we know something out there probably exists.
Yeah.
Common sense says they're probably developing another license. But if it is, you know what I mean? Like FPS games are much easier to spectate.
Yeah. I hope it's not an FPS.
Oh, me too. God no.
We're getting Destiny. I'll be fine with that. My massively multiplayer FPS is taken care of.
Yep.
And they don't look like they're all wearing color-coded pajamas like in PlanetSide 2.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Dear God, I hate the art direction of that game.
Yeah, some that leaves a lot to be desired. Are you on purple or yellow team?
I feel like I'm in Scrubs. Please tell me that's not a onesie.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I don't know. Well, answer your own question. Kyle, what do you think about that? Esports in MMOs.
I don't know. I played a lot of vanilla WoW, and it was sad to me when everyone got a dispel. It just seemed odd. Mages used to get rid of curses from time to time, but other than that, you were pretty much out of luck if something landed on you.
Yeah, well, it wasn't completely PvP's fault either. It got once 10-man raids were introduced, and you weren't guaranteed to have every single class in the game. You needed to have a little more versatility.
Oh, and the other thing you have to take into account too is now the way it is that it's basically only healers that have dispel magic, right?
Right.
And that's still only magical effects. It doesn't include curses or diseases or any of that stuff. That's still pretty separated as far as classes go. And then they, basically had to streamline the notion that there's a bunch of different magical effects that needed to be dispelled. And it streamlined encounter design, for PvE, where basically they could safely put a magical effect out there without you having to stack the group one way or another. And it also balanced out PvP in the sense that it made it so that, let's say you're doing a 3-person arena, having a healer there is suddenly very useful, and there's not one healer that's dramatically better than another.
Yes, well, I guess that's where my problem ultimately lies, being a priest since vanilla. I am the healer, and all these hybrids, you're supposed to be like hybrids, like second-class citizens.
No, not anymore.
Well, yeah, I know.
But how is that fun? How does that improve gameplay? Or how does that make you have a better time if you're having a harder time as a hybrid?
But I wasn't.
I
was having a grand old time up in my first class seat, where I could walk into any chat and say, "Hey, does anyone want to heal?" And they'll be like, "What?"
So you're a priest. And you're openly stating now on the program that you were just racist against hybrids.
Yes, absolutely. Because I wanted to heal, and
you're just as much a hybrid as they are.
Now,
you were before.
Always.
Shadow was always a DPS spec, was it not?
Well, okay. Now we're approaching Kyle land, where
he hasn't hardcore rated since vanilla.
Well, and I smoked my way through leveling and did not spec Shadow and blah, blah, blah.
So you played...
Right, but I mean, hypothetically, for other priest players, Shadow was always a DPS spec, was it not? There is no healer that is not a hybrid. The only non-hybrids in the game are DPS.
Yep. That's a very good point.
So, I mean, everybody kind of enjoys that. And the other thing is, too, you're expected to perform at... expecting your class to perform at its best. It's not like you can switch specs in the middle of doing a specific thing. You don't get a huge advantage out of that. So that's kind of why they did away with the whole hybrid tax notion of things, right?
Back in the day, paladins were pretty much not hybrids because if you wanted the level, rep was useless until level 40.
Oh, God.
So you just tried to bore things to death.
Yeah. Maybe if I stand here long enough, it'll go away, and I might get some XP.
Oh, I don't get Crusader Strike till 40? Okay. All right. Judgment it is.
It's a pretty big deal when they put that in at like level, was that 5 now or something?
Yeah, you get it like right out the gate. It was life changer.
Yeah.
Freaking ridiculous, but no, I kind of I don't know. I just want to tease you, Kyle. Because it's like, well, I'm not saying that you played it wrong, although that's how my troll sense. Well, you leveled wrong. You should have went Shadow. Your life would have been easier. But,
sure.
But you chose the harder path for sake of roleplay, essentially.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is interesting. And it's a point that could be brought up in a news topic I think we have coming up just in here in a second. So why don't we get into World of Warcraft and we'll pick this up on the other side.
Sounds good.
That thought will have to wait until one other news item, though, because in larger news, the final Sha has been sort of revealed or talked about finally. As a result, got a patch 5.3 reveal saying that the final Sha will be, revealed in 5.3. Players will.
So just so we're clear, this probably involves a little bit of spoilers coming out there. You might, if you want to be completely and totally surprised, I suggest you go to no World of Warcraft sites whatsoever.
Yeah. This isn't crazy spoiler heavy. This is more just like, I don't know, like a crazy old man in a cave is telling you a poem.
Sure, but I mean, it still contains some story elements.
Right. Anyways, they said that players will complete a quest with an old Pandaren seer on the slopes of Mount Neverest. Really, really creative name there, guys. The seer eventually reveals himself to be the essence of the fabled Emperor... Xiao?
Is now, yeah.
Okay. Who was responsible for defeating most of the Sha in ancient Pandaren history. The Emperor says, I conquered my doubts, my fears, my anger. I buried all of it within the land. But I held on to one vice, the one Sha I never conquered, pride. My pride cloaked this land in mists. I thought we were better than the rest of the world. I thought we could solve our own problems, but for 10,000 years we stagnated, our doubts and fears buried within the land, rising up to fester whenever we allowed them. Pride. It is the most insidious of Sha. It is good until it is bad, and then it is more dangerous than all the others combined. Beware of pride. Be humble. The world is plunging into chaos. Old enemies must work together. Proud races must admit they need help. Things are going to get worse before they get better. Only by working together can we overcome the darkness. All that stands in our way is pride.
And Garrosh.
Who is,
probably,
spoiler alert, probably the Sha of
Probably
Pride.
pretty prideful, right?
Yeah.
Imagine he's kind of full of pride.
Just a little bit. He's he's slaughtered many people in the name of his pride.
I don't know about pride. This sounds like it's going to be... Oh, no, I have to say his name. I'm going to skip it. But this sounds like the guy who's talking is going to be the one who's the Sha.
Sha how?
Yes.
I don't think so.
I mean, but he locked this away, and the one that he wasn't able to overcome was pride. Why wouldn't he turn into it himself?
He's dead. This is like kind
This is a ghost of his.
An essence being channeled through a seer. Like the way the Sha work is they can kind of manifest through whoever's the largest conduit of negative emotion.
Right. So whoever's the largest
currently
conduit of pride could be Jaina Proudmoore. It doesn't...
Yeah, that's very true. It's funny.
That would be cool.
It's funny that you mentioned it. Had Jaina gone down a certain... If you had read Tides of Darkness, if she had gone down a certain path and had not been stopped by Thrall, she could very easily have become the Sha of Pride. Or I guess, I don't know, is there like a Sha of Vengeance? Because I think should fit that.
I mean, there's a lot of possession going on with these Sha, right? I mean, we saw it in the Shadowpen Monastery a bunch. And
saw it in the very opening quests. regardless of what faction you play.
So the Sha sort of latch on to whatever emotion that they're connected to in a given person, and then amp it up.
Yeah, they're like a much cooler version of the pink slime from Ghostbusters 2.
Yes.
I think they should just throw a generic boss out there, and whoever beats it becomes the Sha. There you are. Boom, delete their characters, put them on screen.
Done.
That'd be interesting. There was an MMO that did that. I can't remember what the hell it was called, but it was like if you got to the end, you became the boss that everyone had to try and kill.
Sounds very inconvenient for your schedule.
Yeah. That's a very good point. Like, you have to just sit around and wait for people to challenge you.
No raid.
Or that guy just never logs on again, so nobody ever becomes boss.
You just go over to the throne, and it's just like a little sign, like out to lunch.
Yep.
Like that dude in EVE Online. Started a bank, ran away with all the money. Now sits on the edge of space with a giant battle cruiser.
Bring it. That's really cool. Although, from my understanding of EVE, enough people could probably pull their talents to take him down, especially if they knew his location. No, EVE's an interesting game. It's one of those. It's funny you talked about MMOs at the top of the show, Kyle. You've been looking at other MMOs, and you're just like, I always come back to WoW. I've always wanted to get into EVE, but it is just it's too much. I can't do it. It's
big learning curve.
Oh man, it's so.
Yeah,
so
I know.
involved.
I've considered it a couple of times myself.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I respect the hell out of it. I mean, there really is nothing else out there like it. But man,
that's the one with the interaction with what's it called? Dust something. 514.
514. Yeah, that's It's a new like kind of spin-offs taking place in the same universe.
Yeah, but they interact.
They do?
Yeah, that's the whole point.
Oh,
because basically this is literally the ground war going on in the same universe.
Okay, because Dust is a lot more kind of accessible from a traditional video game standpoint.
Oh, sure. But from my understanding is, I don't really know how it works, but from my understanding of it is that players in EVE will directly influence how things go down in a given Dust game.
Oh, that's very cool. I think right now that's
because
only on
of
PS3. I should try that out.
Because of various, I don't know, air support or airstrikes or logistics, I don't know. Something like that.
Yeah, that's interesting though.
But apparently that's part of the attraction is the fact that there is interaction there.
Yeah.
That's about all I know about it. It's very anecdotal. I don't know if that's still true or not. But that was the big original selling point from what I remember.
Yeah. So Ben, if you were a Sha, what Sha would you be?
What are my options? I've got pride, I've got fear, anger, doubt.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh man, probably doubt.
I was just about to say I would totally be doubt. Kyle?
Artists.
Says the actor.
That's just my personal insecurities have nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'd have to go with pride after proclaiming myself King of Smite at the beginning of the episode.
I don't care if this would be a much better experience as Shadow. I will smite thee to 90.
You know what? You can be very righteous about it as you go about doing this.
Yeah. It's not as bad now. Like, if you go Discipline, Penance does some damage. Like,
oh, dude, that was awful.
You got Holy Fire as well.
Oh, no, that's awful, too,
it's a little better.
What, as opposed to just smite as holy?
It's awful. I have to hit more than one button.
Hey, what? A rotation?
This is beat up on Kyle Day.
Yeah, well, if we're going to do that, man, I might as well admit it. I had to make a macro for my Death Knight this week. So, because I've got like 5 different freaking buffs as an undead. So, I just made them all one thing. So it's like a big fart sneeze, cough that happens. There's like that, like the zoom thing goes, and then the gargoyle flies down, and then and it all happens at once. And it just sounds awful. But it covers all my bases.
Are you playing as Unholy or whatever, where you've got the permanent ghoul?
Yes.
There's a good macro out there.
You've just got Gargoyle as a... then you've got, Unholy Frenzy as your big cooldowns?
And then you got your Horn of Winter, and you got your...
Yeah, your Horn of Winter should always be on cooldown, just for the extra runner. So basically, you just use it as part of your rotation.
Well, yeah, but why not just make it all one button?
Well, because you're using Gargoyle, like... What's the cooldown on it? Like 2 minutes or something?
Well, but the way the macro works, it's just going to use whatever's available. So
you're just constantly stabbing this button.
Yeah, as long as I'm giving a little smack every 10 seconds or so, something good's going to happen.
Yeah, okay.
I know a lot of Death Knight players. I don't know if you do this, Ben, that just write Horn of Winter into all of their abilities as a macro.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I use it pretty
idea.
specifically. Like, I don't want to use it if I'm already running power cap, and that happens to be kind of a lot because you just waste it.
Oh, that's a very good point.
So there's a lot of nuance
ignore
in
me.
it. If you're leveling, it doesn't matter at all. But if you're trying to maximize your DPS, then it's
Very important.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that makes absolute sense. Anyways, getting back into the subject we were talking about before the break, Ghostcrawler took back to Twitter on the subject of TWiB, and there's been a lot of chatter going around. So we talked about this 2 or 3 weeks ago about TWiB because it was like data mine. Everyone's like, "Oh my god!" including us. We're like, "It's coming to the game! I can't wait to do all the things." Unless I'm a druid.
Oh man, I found this icon of a cupcake, guys. What do you think the ability is going to be?
What flavor do you think it is?
I think it's gonna be new boss.
Cupcake boss. Blizzard's so fluffy cookie cutter. Yeah.
What did he actually say?
Okay.
'Cause I can't figure
so
it out.
one of the tweets said, "All the classes already feel the same thanks to you." So kind of attacking him. And
That was towards him. I thought he was saying that.
No,
so
no.
it was very good.
No, and he said,
I thought he was just yelling this out of the world. I'm like, all right, sorry, Ghostcrawler. Jeez.
Rough day
I
for
wish you would do that. Just get on a mountain and blame the entire community for everything that's wrong with the game. Like, you know why this sucks? Because you whiny little bastards.
Oh no, man!
Your fault.
This guy's significant other probably has to hear about it every night, but he is doing the best customer service job because he is killing people with kindness every single day.
Ghostcrawler's a cool dude. I dig him, even though he openly hates paladins. I still dig him. Anyways, the person tweeted at Ghostcrawler, "All the classes already feel the same thanks to you," and he said, "We try to strike a balance between the demands for I need X tool that the other guy has, and the class is still feeling cool." We have links to all of these, by the way, in the show
All the
notes.
classes already feel the same to you. This guy hasn't probably played a whole lot of other classes because I can think of some pretty distinctly different playstyles.
I think he's been playing a rogue and a feral druid.
Maybe.
And even then, you're a cat, man. You're a cat.
Yeah. Even that's different. I mean,
Yeah. Another person asked, "Could you explain the logic behind Tri-Spec diminishing class uniqueness? More choices should equal more variety." To which Ghostcrawler countered with, "If we had TRIPLE-SPEC, you would no longer think of your friend as a feral or a balanced druid or a priest that's leveling as holy, despite the fact that it's a terrible idea. She is just a druid who can fill any role just like any other druid."
I agree
Except,
with
you
this
know-
100%.
except for, gear, which is the real big difference.
That's a very good point.
Because, I mean, respecking is so incredibly easy. That's not an issue these days, right? I mean, it might take 10 minutes to go do, and you have to reforge some stuff. But in reality, the gear is the limiting factor. Like, you can't just be a boomkin and then decide, hey, I'm switching specs. I'm totally going to be a tank. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Right? You're a boomkin because you chose to spec boomkin and then do your dungeons that way and get the gear that way, and now you have all that gear rather than... Like, that's where the limitation comes in, that and reforging. I mean, I imagine Boomkin and Druid, and Tree do some very different reforging and gemming, which could be expensive.
Yep.
I think that's a much bigger delineation between the two rather than, oh, yeah, that's what I spec'd. Like, and if I go spend, 50 gold, it changes. That's not a real big hurdle.
Yeah. That's a good point. It's also addressed in the next question, which said, "Hey, Ghostcrawler, if you were really serious about that statement, a character would be permanently limited to 2 of the 3 specs." And he said, "The intent of letting you remake choices was never supposed to be, I can swap to anything at a moment's notice. It was supposed to be I made a decision that now I really regret and wish I could make over."
He didn't actually say that, mind you. Oh, did he? Oh,
Yes, he
actually
really did say that. And then he also went on to say, "I do worry sometimes that dual specs solved a problem. Talent points were a pain to rebuy that no longer exists."
Just because of inflation.
And the fact that talent trees are not nearly as cumbersome as they used to be.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But I like that. I mean, I think 2 specs are necessary at the very least because you can perform 2 very different roles. Like, I don't want to have to go respec if I want to do a little bit of PvP.
Well, and with all the buttons now, it'd be a sad world to not have that auto change for you.
Oh my god,
that's the biggest complaint.
Good
like,
Lord.
I would be totally down with there only ever being 2 specs. If it would just save my layout for Holy for the one day I get a wild hair up my ass, I'm like, I'm gonna see ya. I'm going Holy today.
Right.
But I don't want to sit there for 40 minutes setting up my bars and then getting into a battleground and being like, oh shit, this isn't mapped to the right key.
Right. That's the biggest deal. It's the setup time between specs.
Yeah.
And that goes towards the whole like class uniqueness thing too. I mean, like if you're a given spec, it's going to take you a while to set up all your buttons and stuff if you respec.
Yep. All that being said, these are pretty minor complaints. If this is what I'm whining about today on the subject of World of Warcraft, it's in a good place.
I have to say, the notion that if you're really serious about this, you would have permanently limited to 2 of the 3 specs is an idiotic statement. I mean, that's just somebody taking your words out of context.
True.
Yeah, that's just trolls.
Yeah. But real quick, let's pedal back to the thing where he said you no longer think of your friend as a feral or a balanced druid, because Kyle, that kind of speaks to what you were discussing at the top of the show. What do you feel about that statement?
In relation to what was I saying earlier?
You were talking about, well,
I'm a priest.
I was a priest. I healed. That's who I am.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree with this. I'd be real sad if I could be anything because there'd be expectations.
No, there wouldn't.
Well, yeah, but yeah. I want to say I'm a holy priest. I want to say I'm an unholy death knight.
You could still say that.
But isn't that part of role playing? Is basically you have to make some declarative statements and then just go with it rather than. I mean, how are expectations going to dramatically change? Because you have to take into account that gear is always a limiting factor.
Yes, and well, you're already applying logic to the situation, Ben, and these people on Twitter are not. Yeah, you're already taking this outside of the context, man. Because the gear is an absolute 100% point. It destroys any other arguments. I cannot be Shadow right now because of my gear or whatever it may be. I'm not ready to tank as Unholy because I've got too much freaking strength and no stamina.
Right.
Yep.
But if there was
FYI, don't tank as Unholy.
Oh no, never again.
I just want to make sure that didn't happen.
It didn't. I am aware of blood. Insult. Yes, I'm aware of blood now being the official one. I was a little bummed, of course, but that bummed was about
blood
4 years ago.
Blood DPS was a blast.
I remember being a frost tank.
Yep. Dual wielding frost tank.
No, I never did that. But
that's kind of goofy.
It was weird. It could be done, but it was.
I was all 3 tank specs for a while. Actually, for a while there, blood was the least popular tanking.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Yeah, for a while there, Unholy was the most popular.
Yep, I remember that.
Yep.
So I did most of Nax.
It's good stuff.
Unholy, yeah.
Yeah. So.
But I think having 2 specs is really the optimal out of 3 because it's still a choice. You're limiting yourself. But now we're in that now we're in that world where we don't have to try to pool funds to peer pressure your friend into tanking for a night. I'm like, oh well, no, I'm balanced. Well, we've got together here 150 gold because you respec too many times. Now you poured out. You go to Shatrath, and you change this up
because we need a tank. Damn it.
That's right.
And then you wipe because your buddy doesn't know how to tank, and that's the end of that night. And you're all 150 gold poor and
more
sad.
Than that after all the repair bills. Right?
Yep. But anyways, it's a good chat. I'm interested to see if Triple Spec ever rears its interesting head.
I can see it now with the sort of more granularity that you can have to a given spec. But then again, respecking is so easy now, especially if it's just a single talent point, which is a lot of the reason to have a 3rd spec in reality.
Yeah. It's usually for me, it's I want 2 ret specs. I want PvE and I want PvP, but now I can just swap around. I can get some dust and I'm good.
Yeah, that's gone.
Yep.
Exactly. That's the part that I was really interested in. Just being able to move around a couple of talents for a given encounter or just because for whatever reason, but being able to just move a couple of them around without respecking everything is so great.
Yep. So, very, very cool. Check it all out in the show notes over at thisweekinblizz.com if you want to see all of the sources for what we're talking about here. All right, let's talk a little StarCraft. We now have our call to action balance testing map. It is live as of the 2nd of May, or the 3rd of May.
All these damn patches are all calm and calculated, Blizzard. Where's the drama?
We're removing Mutalisks from the game. What?
Just kidding, we're putting them back in.
What? But they've got Warhound missiles.
Do extra damage versus mechanical.
Yeah.
And they have shields.
More or less, actually more really than less, everything that David Kim was kind of postulating he was going to put in the balanced test map made it in. Spore Crawler damage has been increased, but now we have specifics. It's been increased from 15 plus 15 versus biological to 15 plus 30 versus biological.
I have a quick question. Has anything that David Kim has ever postulated not come through?
It hasn't. There's definitely been cases where it hasn't come through to the live game, but...
Oh, yeah, no, I know that. But I'm talking about just to the next test patch. There's a lot of, very cautious wording, and then eventually just, it's always that thing. It's just a preview. It's okay to say that.
Can't think of an example at the top of my head, especially after Heart of the Swarm, where it was just this is what we're thinking about doing, and then 2 days later, we've got a balanced test map, and that's exactly what they're testing. Yeah. And 9 times out of 10, it went through to the live game. God, I remember all the Widowmine changes. Every time they made a change to the Widowmine, I was like, this is crazy. This is broken. There is no way this is going to make it to the live game. 5 crazy broken changes later, they're in the box that you bought at Best Buy.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like Widowmines. But apparently David Kim doesn't like Muta vs. Muta very much.
No, it's getting a little boring and stale, and that's the entire reason for this change. The entire reason bonus to biological was added in the first place, which was during the Heart of the Swarm beta, was for this very reason. But Muta's got a buff, and Muta versus Muta became almost the only strat you ever saw in Zerg versus Zerg. So they rolled out the plus 15 to biological, and that deterred it somewhat. But now that we've had the game for a while now, Muta versus Muta and ZVZ is still almost entirely commonplace. It's like who lost 1 Muta? All right, you have now tipped the scale and you're done. So, or it becomes like a who's quicker with hitting the +1 upgrade.
Or who got armor versus
Exactly. Right. It becomes incredibly granular, not that entertaining from a spectator point of view.
Weapon upgrade. Oh no.
Yeah, exactly.
This game is over.
Well, and it's also just limiting. A lot of times what'll happen is someone will just fortify their whole base on 2 bases and prepare for the mutas. And the other guy has to do the same, because if he expos, that third out there in the middle of nowhere is just going to get swarmed by mutas.
Right. They pretty much are, what they've said here is that they're trying to reward Zerg who go ground-based army versus other Zerg. They said, to quote, that we feel this change will help bring peace of mind to Zerg players who attempt ground-based strategies, since they won't have to worry about Mutalisk harass early on. Furthermore, players who opt for ground units should now have time to build enough Spore Crawlers and other anti-air units that they can comfortably take a 3rd or 4th base on most maps.
I like this change a lot. I used it this week on the old balanced test map here, and man, does it tear through mutas. It takes 4 hits now to kill a single muta, which you can pretty easily do with 2 Spore Crawlers having at it. And these guys needed more damage in the first place, because you're losing a drone. I mean, it's one thing to grab 2 or 3 SCVs and do the, oh crap, I need turrets everywhere. But
so
imagine those SCVs are gone forever.
So that's about 3.5 seconds per Spore Crawler to kill a Muta.
Yeah.
That's fast.
You're going to really have to be calculated and
there's
confident.
No way you're flying over Spore Crawler and not losing Muta.
Pretty much.
Yeah. It's nice.
And if you're going to engage a base with Spore Crawlers, you better know exactly how many Mutas you have and be confident that you're going to trade well.
Right.
Well, and the problem was that you could lock a Zerg in his base. strategically starving him, but he's just going to fly out with a whole bunch of mutas and destroy anything you've got going on, even if you're going, oh, he's trapped on 2, why don't I get a 3rd? Now you can just throw a Spore Crawler or 2 right there in the mineral line, and you're pretty much set for that first wave, and it's going to scare him off. And then you've got some Hydras hanging out. It's a good time.
You got Queens at all your base for support.
But the scariest thing about this is you're thinking to yourself, well, this is only going to affect mutas, right? There's no other flying biological units. Oh my goodness, the Overlord's biological. And there is a strategy right now in the test map where you get a whole bunch of things. You run into a base and occupy the base. Bring in the Spore Crawlers, park them in front, and just kill every single Overlord that pops out. You don't kill the base. You just you have the mutas circling in the background, killing all the Overlords. He's trying to get more Overlords because he's supply blocked, but you're killing them with spores.
So I have a question. If you're already in their base and you have enough time to walk Spore Crawlers into their base, don't you think the game's already kind of over?
Pretty much, but it's all to
right. I don't think you're walking
the Nexus in your opponent's base. I mean,
I don't think you're walking the Spore Crawler across the map. I think you're bringing a drone and morphing it right there on their creep.
Yeah, I get that, but
which
still, I mean...
Which if you have things, you could defend, but...
Yeah, if you have a queen, you can defend. I mean, let's be real.
Okay, yeah, that's weird. That's a good point. Still, I love the wacky...
I don't think I'll be seeing this on the GSL anytime soon, is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah, I do love the wacky, like, unforeseen consequences that come out of balance changes like this.
I could see. I want to see the Spore Crawler migration to go set up base underneath Broodlords.
Yeah,
I could see that.
Yeah,
2 equally slow. The micro battles of oh no, turn around, everybody turn around.
It's funny.
Get this battle cruiser out of here.
The Spore Crawler flank, you know.
Nice. This next change I'm excited about. The burrow research cost is being decreased from 100-100 to 50-50. They said that they originally moved burrow down to tier 1 because they wanted to expand the aggressive options for Zerg in the early game. They saw some early burrow play in the first start of the Swarm tournaments, but almost never see it being utilized anymore. So they said they feel that there's a decent amount of potential in this area for players and spectators alike and want to try a buff that encourages more aggressive tactics for Zerg players at Hatchery Tech. And also a little note here, to promote Kyle using roaches. Oh, that's funny. That's very personal.
Yeah.
This is a great change, in my opinion. However, I would see this just going back to normal. If maybe they even throw this in the game for 2 or 3 months and let Zergs get really acquainted with burrow early on, and then just move it back to 100-100, because this is pretty powerful. If you're not aware, you can, once a unit is burrowed, right-click it so that it now auto-casts unburrow. And there are so many possibilities you can do with this, like putting a bunch of roaches on your ramp.
Sorry. Can you clarify that? Like, what do you mean exactly?
When something comes in attackable range, it will automatically unburrow and begin attacking.
Yes. That is cool. I did not know that.
Yep.
Yeah, so if you have a bunch of roaches on a ramp, Lings try to run by, those roaches pop up as soon as they get in that, 3 range. And same thing works for like Hydralisk hiding back in your mineral line and a bunch of mutas fly in and they automatically pop up. You don't even have to look at them.
That's kind of cool.
Very limited, like very niche use, but yeah.
Oh yeah, I know. But like, if you now have that Ling bird at your opponent's 3rd, he just kills off the drone instead of just blocking the hatch.
Right, and the ideal situation would be 2 Lings there, 1 with the auto and burrow to kill the guy, and 1 to stay there, so nothing bad happens while he runs off.
Totally.
But either way, it's such a great theme thing, like just warping in units. That is such a cool thing about Protoss. That's why I love to play them from time to time. And if we just see some Hydralisk roaches popping out of the ground here and there, it's going to add so much flavor to the game as a spectator as well.
There's no auto blow up on Banelings, is there?
No, you can auto unburrow them, but it's a slow process. They're probably dead, particularly if you're dealing with Marines. So it's better just to keep a hold of them, blow them up while they're underground.
Yeah, Baneling mines are far more effective if you micro them.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that that's still a skilled thing. You know what I mean? Rather than just rather than Baneling Widow mine.
And on the subject of being more effective with more micro, oracles are getting a buff. Movement speed is being increased from 3.375 to an even 4, and the acceleration is being increased from 2 to 3.
Sweet.
Yeah, originally scared me, but after talking about this 2 weeks ago with Tobias on StarCast, he's calmed me down. Damn Protoss player. He's a propaganda slinger, that man. He said, of all the changes we proposed last week, the Oracle speed increase seems to receive the most diverse feedback. We'd like to take this opportunity to address a few of the concerns we're seeing from the players at the highest level. First concern, we're already seeing proxy Stargate openers, and we'll see these tactics more frequently with this change.
That is what
Lovely.
all of the form goes sound like.
Yeah.
It's spot on.
Which
I
they,
like that.
which they said, in general, we're not seeing proxy oracles ending games nor giving huge advantages to Protoss players. Okay, I can't hold that voice for an entire paragraph. They said, we feel that proxy strategies or hidden tech strategies are fun to watch, and we don't think this change will have a negative impact on the game, even if players have to scout for proxy stargates a bit more carefully. Yep. I agree with them 100%. The complaint that this strategy is too popular is a stupid complaint. Learn to counter it. Scout better.
Well, yeah, I know, to an extent. But, like, going, you know... what are they called? Oh, my God. Not the filers.
Vipers?
Swarm hosts?
No, the other guys. That
Vipers?
are no longer popular. You used to just get 20 of them.
Infestors.
Oh, infestors.
Infestors, thank you. Sorry, getting 20 infestors was kind of like a really popular strategy. You didn't do anything else, because if you did, you were probably kind of dumb. Like, it was...
Yeah,
I understand the
that's-
argument from that point, but that's not the case.
It's a little different, too. That's like...
Yeah, right.
It's like one unit is just too strong, so just massing that unit, you win. This is...
Right.
This strategy and timing is popular, and I don't
There's a
feel
bunch
like
of people
scouting for it.
in Silver League getting cheesed a lot that are complaining about this.
Well, they said this is from the highest level of play, these concerns, but...
Well, the problem with the Oracle over some normal cheeses, like you got some Reapers, you got some Cannons, a lot of that stuff you can do something about. Or even if you weren't prepared ahead of time, it's a slower process as that pylon goes down and the next cannon moves forward and the pylon, the next cannon. You see it coming, it's a struggle, you get real frustrated, but the thing about an Oracle is if you didn't scout it, if you weren't prepared, it's there and everything might be dead.
Yeah.
Yep.
It is very binary. But I will say that I don't think that would change based on the Oracle's movement speed.
No. And in fact,
Right.
this is going to give a lot of really cool opportunities for us to see those other abilities than the one that kills workers.
Exactly. And the thing is, too, like, this makes them a lot more viable in the late game, a lot easier to micro, like, against something, oh, crap, there's a turret, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like...
Because they're still made out of paper.
Exactly. And I don't think this necessarily makes it so that, like, the all-in strategies are not going to be dramatically more better. You know
Right,
what I
and
mean?
that was
You're
another
either
one of
going
the
to kill all
concerns.
your opponent's stuff or you're not. Like, it's not...
Well, and David King even made a good point, because that was another one of the concerns they addressed. He said, listen, almost all of the successful Oracle all-in builds are backed up by other units whose speeds are not increasing, so unless you want to move them with the Oracles before the rest of the army's there, this doesn't really change much.
Yeah.
So.
Mostly what I'm excited to see is Revelation and Envision happening, because you could see maybe something as, you know, you have your one observer out there, you see that they're leaving the base, you could zoom this thing across, lay down some sight and get out of there and keep active, use more diverse abilities. And hey, if this speed goes up, maybe we might even see these abilities change, because now we realize, well, they're fast enough to not die all the time and people still aren't using them. So this could be a single step in a long line of changes for the Oracle.
Absolutely. I think it just makes it a lot more viable in a battle for use too, you know, or just being able to approach something, you know, an enemy force that is bigger than, let's say, 6 Marines and not die instantly, right?
Yeah.
And this can hopefully allow them to actually execute some of their stuff.
Yep.
The next point he makes, though, is kind of interesting.
Oh, the final... Yeah, Oracles will be near impossible to counter with ground units if the Protoss player micros perfectly. I love this first sentence. That actually sounds pretty cool. I wish he had just ended it right there.
Yep, I agree completely.
He goes on to expand on that. He says, this helps differentiate the Oracle from other harass units in the game. Oracles can also be one of the easiest harass units to deal with, depending on how you choose to fend them off. All you really need to do is place static defense in the center of your mineral line, and an Oracle will be unable to deal too much economic damage there. They also feel that the Oracle becomes increasingly interesting as a unit in situations where it is constantly threatening to pick off small groups of workers, scout bases, and track army movements with Revelation. That said, a Viking or a few Mutalisks are all it really takes to shut down Oracles in these situations. So, yeah,
yep,
kind of in line with what we were just talking about.
That's great. I think if it's impossible to counter if the other guy plays perfectly. Well, yeah, he's playing perfectly. Like, that's going to be the case with any strategy, isn't it?
I guess you should learn how to play perfectly there, buddy.
Yeah. It's impossible to counter if your opponent is Flash. Oh, in that case.
I'm sorry, who is this? Oh, Parting. Okay. All right, we can kind of understand. But Flash plays Terran. This makes no sense. And Parting, your Protoss, why are you complaining? This analogy no longer works.
No, thank you for killing it. I'm sorry. You get my point. But, it's like saying, this strategy is too hard when my opponent is Parting. Like, of course that's the case.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, yeah.
It's rough. Learn to play. No, that's good. Anyways, let's go check it out. There's we skimmed over some other explanations and whatnot just for the sake of time, but it's on the official StarCraft site, so you can go read the entire entry in its full. We've got an email this week. You can email us at thisweekinblizz@gmail.com. We'd love hearing from you guys. If you want to weigh in on any of the stories, any of the dumb things we say, or we even accept off-topic questions. We just don't hand out personal information like medical records, social security numbers, or credit card numbers. So don't ask. Anyways, we got an email from Paul who says, "Hello all. I am a software engineer with 6 years industry experience, close to a decade if you count college work. Every time I hear you guys question a programming issue, such as backpack size issues, I cry a little. If you want, please send me any questions that come up that seem strange, and I will do my best to explain it to you. I hope I can be helpful to one of my favorite podcasts."
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you very much, Paul. I wish you would have expanded upon the backpack size limitation.
Yeah, please tell us. We want to know.
There's my first question. There you are, Paul. If you're listening, write us back and let us know.
Couch a lot of stuff like this because we frankly have no idea. And
Right.
we're giving a very large benefit of the doubt to any programmers because we have no notion of how it works or what's behind it. So if you can inform us, that would be tremendous.
Yeah, my understanding is that there's just a set of limitations built into this engine, and there's just some things you can't change.
Without great difficulty. But even that, it's completely anecdotal. That's just what we've heard through the grapevine. Nobody's
right.
actually said that to us, you know?
Because at face value, it seems like, well, why the hell can't I change the backpack size? So
Right.
obviously it's not like
They've brought that up at BlizzCons, haven't they, as
yes,
an issue?
It's been almost every BlizzCon since Lich King. Obviously it's not just like, I just open up the code, I delete 16 and enter 20. It can't be that easy. So that's my only...
At least that's our assumption.
That's my assumption.
And if it is that easy, Blizzard, what are you doing?
Yeah, the other option of truth is that they're just screwing with us.
Yep.
So.
Oh no, trust me, guys, it's really hard.
I don't know. I believe it. I've made a website in the past, and that felt like cramming everything into a closet and knowing I'm going to regret it about 3 months later when it all comes toppling down. But for now, it's holding up.
Yep. And that's not even remotely close to the order of magnitude that's involved here.
Every day of my life that goes by is another day regretting the fact that I started all of this on a GoDaddy account.
Yeah. The poor decisions we make, right?
Yeah, indeed. So, anyways, thank you for your email, Paul. Again, we send your emails to thisweekinblizz@gmail.com. We'll put them on the show. And that does it for the episode 55. Big thanks to you, those of you who left us reviews in the iTunes store. If you want to help out the show and help us out for free, that is the best way to do it. Leaving reviews helps the show gain new listeners, rise up the iTunes ranks, and all that jazz, so we really appreciate it. Our review this week comes to us from Wolf, who just says, awesome show. Really enjoying it. He said, the only complaint I can make is that it's only recorded once a week. But then it wouldn't be This Week in Blizz. It would be this
Today.
bi-week in Blizz, or Blizz today, or today in Blizz. And now I'm out of really bad, not creative names.
Well, we already have the website, so we'd have to make it like this whenever in Blizz.
Oh, I already named today's episode, but that totally pulls rank. I'm typing it in right now. Everyone can listen to me typing it. This whenever in Blizz. Yeah, mechanical keyboard. Sounds like I'm playing StarCraft. Anyways, This Week in Blizz is a production of amove.tv. You can see more about this show over at thisweekinblizz.com. I told you to email. It's thisweekinblizz@gmail.com. Catch us live every Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern over at amove.tv/live. Join in the chat room. Talk to us. I'm going to get better about doing live giveaways. I promise. We're going to be giving away tweaked audio earbuds and all kinds of stuff. So make sure you tune into the live show.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Just a little incentive for the live crowd. And we'll do some, I don't know, contests for the podcast crowd as well. I like to be a little more creative with the podcast crowd, like over on StarCast, and make you guys do like contest entries, because you have time. You get to hear it, and then you think so. We'll see. I'm mulling around ideas, so we'll just keep up to date. And the best way to do that is to follow us on Twitter at thisweekinblizz. You can follow me at Garrett Art. You can follow Kyle at Kyle Ferguson, and Sir Benjamin is at Pixel Garbage. You can join us in WoW at vstheworldguild.com. That is our Alliance Lightbringer side guild. We always accept applications, and everyone is welcome, as long as you're not a jerk.
Yep.
But we're jerks,
I wonder if there's
so it's
anybody
kinda
out there
funny.
going, "Oh man."
Hey, he's one step ahead of the game for admitting it.
So close.
Yeah, I wish more people were like that. Check out our new show, Campaign Roundtable, over at amove.tv, and check out nomoonart.com for all of my streaming graphic design stuff. If you need some stuff designed, I can do it. Kyle, where can people find you?
You can also find me on Biggest Fan Podcast, where we follow the fabulous Drive You Mad. And this week, I'm being driven mad by Robert Downey Jr.
Oh,
Actually,
he's
I'm not
a
being
sexy man.
Yeah, I'm not being driven too mad by him. Having a good time, actually. Tomorrow night, I'm heading out to Iron Man.
It was so good.
That's
I've
what I'm
heard
hearing.
good
I'm glad to
things.
hear that.
It's wonderful.
You guys see the little clip from him at the French press conference?
No?
It's delightful.
Oh, no, I didn't. He is Tony Stark. Like, I watch him in interviews, and it's just like, you're a terrible actor. You're just playing yourself. And you're incredibly likable and charismatic.
Why not?
Yeah. That's very funny. So, anyways, there is that. Please go check out our sponsors, doghousesystems.com and tweakedaudio.com. Our code is TWiB, that's TWiB. It gets you double memory on your next Doghouse Systems gaming rig, and 30% off and free shipping on your entire order of tweaked audio earbuds. They are noise canceling, they have flat non-tangle wires, and they are very, very sexy. Get the wooden pair. I love them. They're hipster as all get out. We thank them for their support. And ladies, gentlemen, and babies, why are you letting your baby listen to this? This is a bad idea. We'll see you next week. Have a good one.
Have a good night.
Take care.